In 1995, the world was introduced to this little-known program known as the What a Cartoon Show. This series was a huge game changer for the realm of animation. The overwhelming amount of animated shows that we have today wouldn't have existed had it not been for this one show, because with this program, we ended up getting some of the most beloved animated shows of all time. Dexter's Laboratory, Johnny Bravo, The Powerpuff Girls, Courage the Cowardly Dog, and so on. This program was even influential enough for it to get revived twice. And for Nickelodeon to basically do the same thing with Oh Yeah cartoons, which is where the Fairly Odd Parents, Talk Zone, and My Life as a Teenage Robot came from, which also led to random cartoons where we got Adventure Time. However, with every influence comes a specific company trying to cash in on that success, and that specific company is Disney. Which leads to the subject of what this review is going to be, which is the 2006 animated series, Shorty McShorts. And already, there are major red flags. For starters, one fatal flaw in this show that was not in the Oh Yeah cartoons or What a Cartoon shorts was that with those shows, pilots that they often aired were able to run in their own time slots so that they'd get more recognition, and they were advertised first and foremost as pilot episodes. And looking at these shorts at first glance, someone could definitely mistake them as being shorts that are done just to be shorts, not meant to be turned into a full-fledged show. This was literally what Nicktoons Network did back in the day. And also, with the What a Cartoon and Oh Yeah cartoon shorts, it basically threw something at the wall to see what sticks, and well, quite a few of them ended up sticking out as a result. But also, the shorts were around 6 or 7 minutes long, so that we'd get an idea of what the show ended up doing. Even some that didn't end up getting their own shows were memorable, like Mina and the Count and Larry and Steve. Now granted, yes, there were bad shorts in these shows. One that comes to mind is that What is Funny short, where this smart dog asks what is funny throughout the short instead of doing funny things, and also having a very jumbled up plot where random things happen. But when these shorts do hit, they really do hit. The best way to sum up Shorty McShorts is that, well, every single pilot made so little of a splash that absolutely none of them even got a series. That's because these shorts have so little to work with barely even established characters, that you'd end up forgetting what happened after watching each and every single one of these pilots. Or you'd be wondering, what the truck did I just watch? Basically, imagine all the failed pilots that you'd see in What a Cartoon and Oh Yeah cartoons, but every single one of them are a failure. That's Shorty McShorts in a nutshell, which is honestly baffling considering the fact that one of these shorts was created by Van Partible, but he ended up dropping the ball on the short he created. Also, I think the reason as to why these shorts ended up not doing very well is because, to be completely honest, these shorts look very ugly. And not even in a way where it's charming or unique either. No, the shorts look legitimately awful for a variety of different reasons. Either because the show doesn't use outlines, leaving a lot of them looking awkward, as well as falling into the uncanny valley more often than not, or because the short decided to make the faces grossly over-exaggerated, or they decided to use cel-sheeted CGI improperly, or because the motion of the actual animation is not helping anything. These shorts are obviously done in flash animation, and it makes it very clear to the audience that it was from the second half of the 2000s decade. And on top of that, the environments often look dreary and not fun to be around. And since the characters were not really doing anything for the audience, I doubt that people would really want to see more of these characters, because of how either despicable, annoying, or underestablished they were. And for this review in specific, I'm going to be going through every single one of these shorts to basically show you guys what I'm talking about. Yes, even the unaired ones. And as long as I'm able to find them in English, they count. And I'm going to be going through all of these, from bad to mid, to the one that ended up actually getting a show. Beginning this review, I'm going to be starting off with the worst shorts, because Shorty McShorts had quite a bit of bad ones. And to start off the bad ones, we begin with the worst of them all, Boozlebag Zip. One criticism that I've never gotten with certain shows is how they don't make any sense, despite the fact that it's an animated series that is not supposed to make sense. I mean, if we were to get on to shows like Uncle Grandpa for being too drugged up, then we probably would have gotten onto Rocko's Modern Life and SpongeBob for being weird, considering the fact that those shows do get weird a lot. But if there is one show where the criticism of it being too weird actually applies, it would actually be with this short. The plot of the series is just so stupid. Apparently, this family gets to move to the location of their favorite show called Boozlebag Land because the father got a new job there, replacing the mailman, but then it's revealed that this place is through a garage. Like, what? What were they smoking while writing this one? But no, the thing that places this short as being the worst, or at least one of the worst shorts in this entire series, is its obnoxiousness, with having every single character scream out their lines throughout the entirety of the short.
Just all come up with a Mailman Family song to go with my theme song. You got 10 seconds, go!
Stop it!
And also having the problem where one of its characters, specifically the son of the family, is used as the audience's insert, where he literally points out every single problem that the show has, but they embrace the problems that this show has anyway.
You've ruined my life, Dad.
Writing 101 for making an animated series, do not mock or insult the audiences who are watching the show. Not only does it make it an admission that you don't care, but it would also antagonize them to the point where they don't want to watch the show ever again. These are episodes like Let's Get Serious, The Return of Slade, The Fourth Wall, etc. from Teen Titans Go, Destroy All Robots from Robot Boy, Fame and Misfortune from MLPFIM, The Taunting Hour from The Loud House, most episodes of Modern Family Guy. I could just go on, and that's the problem that this short has. Similar to a problem that a show like Wayside has, this short is doing all the work for me in regards to pointing out the problems with it. For instance, the kid is right. The family basically ruined his life by having him move into a world where there's probably no school or college in sight. But the short essentially guilt trips him at the end by saying that he walked his shoes all over his dad's heart.
Hey, nice sneakers. Too bad they're getting dirty walking all over your dad's heart and all.
Even though he was completely in the right for all of this. Because the family essentially took him away from his life. Hey, it's just like Glenn Martin DDS done years earlier. The only plus side to this series is that it didn't get picked up at all. I don't really have all that much to say about this one in specific. It's slightly better than the last one because it didn't annoy me as badly, but still though, it's still one of the worst shorts in this entire series. The new kid that enters into the school is given such a hard time for absolutely no reason. The new kid in particular is so bland and lifeless that he makes Doug Funny from Doug look like SpongeBob SquarePants in comparison, and the entire thing is just so rushed. Though, that's the problem with a lot of these shorts in particular. Part of the reason as to why I just don't care about a lot of these characters is because the shorts get so little time for us to connect with them so that we'd be able to recognize some of them. And that's the issue. In a show like The Loud House, I feel sorry for Lincoln a lot of the time because the show had plenty of time for us to get to know him. This new kid is so bland that I just don't care about him. So much so that the detention aspect of it doesn't leave all that much of an impact. Everything goes by so fast that I could assume that the viewers watching Shorty McShorts would have forgotten about this short afterward. Technically speaking, according to one of the commenters who commented on the upload of this video on YouTube, this was one of the unreleased shorts that was part of Shorty McShorts. However, I'm going to be talking about it anyway, since it did get labeled as part of Shorty McShorts by Disney themselves, and also, as long as I'm able to find the shorts to watch them for this review, fully in English, they count. What is there to say about Bad Hair Daze? That's simple, really. This short single-handedly has the worst animation out of every single short. All of the other pilots, outside of Dodger Dare and Mascot Prep, the best looking shorts, looked pretty ugly, but all of them at least tried, as opposed to this short right here. The animation in this one gets so bad that it's literally up there with Hammerman, getting so jittery that it feels like they just colored in the storyboards, not even giving in-betweens to this thing. It honestly feels as if this is trying to essentially be South Park for kids, but South Park is at least done in a way where it feels as if the characters were cardboard cutouts. Meanwhile, the characters in this short look like any character from any other show. They honestly wouldn't look out of place in the world of Pac-Man, to be completely honest. Though, I don't know why they'd want to make South Park for kids anyway, but, you know, executives greenlight some very bizarre products, like a show where animals take off their fur and goof off in a hotel. That's a garbage show as well, and I might get to that show at a later date. Or a literal game where you're able to watch a dog take a dump. That part is whatever. What truly gets me with this short is that the audio is freaking abysmal. Do you want to know what's just as bad as having music overpower the dialogue of your characters? It's when you decide to have the dialogue overlap another character's dialogue. I mean, just listen to some of this.
Hey, Kathy, let's say we get away from this garbage can and go hang out. Maybe listen to some tunes, get some food, watch a movie.
So I'm like hanging out with Mandy Darcy yesterday. We're doing this quiz in one for magazines.
So lame.
Anyway, we're doing this quiz in Girly Teen.
Well, do you know your hair or how sun-savvy?
How sun-savvy are you? And she starts talking about Andy Thomas. What the heck is that supposed to
Total high-handed.
Total high-handed.
Who thought that it was a good idea to have the audio overlapping in some sequences? Were they afraid that if it had these few pieces of audio in their own separate sentences, that the short would be way too long? The longest short in Shorty McShorts shorts was 5 minutes. This short is only 4 minutes. The characters talking over each other is completely unnecessary. Another one of my least favorite shorts, and another one that was thankfully unreleased. The best way to sum up this one is if you basically took Clutter and turned the character himself into an 8-bit sprite. Though this one is even worse, because all this thing does throughout the entirety of the short is swipe things from the bully's yard. And also, Clutter didn't have annoying voices throughout. And for the record, when I say that the voices throughout this short are bad, I'm not blaming either Tara Strong or Tom Kenny for how obnoxious they sound throughout the short. It's the voice directing that makes it sound so bad. And from the looks of it, they were possibly directed to do the most annoying voices ever. And yeah, in regards to this short, they decided to have Tara Strong and Tom Kenny do the most annoying voices imaginable.
My turn.
But you have to beg me first.
Please?
Hop on one foot.
Please, please, with sugar and sprinkles and gumdrops and sprinkles.
But hey, at least Carlos alias Rocky wasn't affected by this, though I can hear nothing except for Rocco from Marco's Modern Life while listening to this voice.
Oh, what up? If only I could get Tina an ice cream maker of her very own. Here we are, dear. Thanks very much, Mrs. Big Head.
So, this is the closest thing that we get to a crossover with SpongeBob SquarePants, Rocco, and Twilight Sparkle. Though this one's a little better than Bad Hair Daze, because at least the audio mixing isn't as bad, but still though, Tara Strong and Tom Kenny deserve so much better. Do you want to know what the saddest part of this entire short is? It definitely has the best animation out of every single short, but yet, it's definitely the one that I want turned into a series the least. Because had this show, along with some of the previous shows talked about here, been picked up by Disney and turned into a series, they would have been candidates for some of Disney's worst animated shows of all time, up there with Pickle and Peanut, Quack Pack, Schnookums and Meat, The Wuzzles, Bonkers, etc. But thankfully they weren't. It's just that this show failed so much that nearly all of them didn't get picked up. The only show that did get on par with this short were the later seasons of Star vs. the Forces of Evil, but I have a feeling that this show would have been even worse, because the catalyst of this entire short is that this guy named Dodger Dare decides to simp over another girl and makes clones of himself to impress this girl in particular to like him for his own selfish gains.
Okay, do whatever it takes for her to like me, man. Please, we'll be crawling with cuties in no time.
And when he gets dumped at the end of the episode, you just don't feel sorry for him because of how much of a jerk he's been throughout the entirety of it. I honestly feel more sorry for his friend because she's obviously wanting him to see that the girl who wants him is standing right in front of him. But no, he's so much of a simp that he'd rather go out with another girl than the girl who is there to support him.
Cherishing a picture of you and me. That's sweet.
No. I'm trying to permanently attach Amber Van Owen's picture over your face. See? Just you. Hottie. Just you. Hottie.
So, on top of the fact that the main character is unlikable, essentially he's exactly the kind of character that people think that Mikey Simon from Kappa Mikey is like, this would have been a will they, won't they kind of show. The kind of series that shows like Miraculous Ladybug are today. And honestly, I couldn't be any happier to see that this show was not picked up. And thankfully, the animation from this short eventually turned into the animation of a much better series, The Ghost and Molly McGee, and that show is great. But yeah, if you absolutely cannot stand the love triangle, or they will they won't they trope of shows like Total Drama, Regular Show, Star Vs, or Miraculous Ladybug, I absolutely recommend skipping this one entirely. And in fact, because of the title of this short alone, I'm in the mood to watch The Amazing World of Gumball instead. Not much to really say about this one, although one of the kids sounds exactly like Lisa Loud from The Loud House, though the parts where they end up dancing with two older kids gave out some major unfortunate implications. Now that we're getting away from the ones that I actually considered bad, let's get into the ones that I feel very indifferent about. Starting off with Dudley and Nestor Do Nothing. Have you ever heard of a little show that goes by the name of Beavis and Butthead? Well, that's the best way to sum up this one. But where with Beavis and Butthead, it had humor to go along with the scenarios that the main characters get into, this short just doesn't. It just has them going through the motions. I mean, it literally gets up to the point where when one of them needs to use the restroom, they mistake a space shuttle for a bathroom. Like, if Beavis and Butthead were in this same position, they would have been making extremely laugh-out-loud remarks by now. The only thing that I will remember about this short is that one of them is voiced by Richard Stephen Horvitz doing his Billy voice.
And yet strangely relaxing.
But that's about all. Van Partible apparently created this one, and man did he drop the ball on this one. After watching through the entirety of this one, what even is this short trying to do with itself? And what were they going to do if this show did eventually get picked up? Apparently, this show is about a group of people trying to make people look fabulous. All I've seen while watching this one is just pure nonsense, and more like 4 or 5 minutes of strangers going around annoying people, which is something that a lot of people were doing around that time, specifically on Nickelodeon. But remember, you're not watching Nickelodeon, you're watching the Disney Channel. But with this one being created by Van Partible, someone who created Johnny Bravo, you'd think that this short would be funny, right? No, this one is not funny either. All this one really does is that they unironically interview the characters and just randomly have a beaver in this show because cartoons be quirky, am I right? They also have this very buff muscular character to remind you that this is a Van Partible show, as if that wasn't obvious enough. Especially given that he's literally typed down as the creator of the show, even though the writing of the show really doesn't make this clear at all. Especially given that one sequence of this pilot has the characters singing Twinkle Twinkle Little Star.
Twinkle, twinkle, little star.
No way. I love this song.
How I wonder what you are.
Huh, I thought that this aired on Disney Channel, not Playhouse Disney or Disney Junior. You guys might as well sing The Wheels on the Bus Go Round and Round while you're at it. This one is technically the longest, but I don't have all that much to really say about this one. None of the band members in this short are very interesting at all. They essentially get all the ridicule for something that their manager is pressuring them to do, and on top of that, these shorts basically end on a cliffhanger that will basically remain unresolved for the rest of time. Though, admittedly, this isn't the only show/short that has this problem. Cuckoo Harajuku also had very indistinguishable main characters, but those criticisms will be saved for that show at a later date. Had potential for a full-fledged show, but I don't have too much to say about this one either. One of the most unappealing looking shorts, but I will say that this show did take advantage of the skin suit premise more than Robot Boy did, so that's a plus. Has a decent premise for a series, even if there are implications that are rather questionable, even for a cartoon. I honestly doubt that this one would really make for a whole show, but definitely not the worst of the bunch. And last but not least, SheZow. Out of all the shorts that I discussed about in this video, this was the only one that really got to be an animated series, and I might as well save my discussion for the full show whenever I get around to reviewing it in the future, which is why I saved this one for last. But all I will say about this show for now is that I honestly don't have an opinion on it. It feels pretty awkward to talk about the subject of a show where a male character is forced to dress up as a female superhero, given that talking about this subject is like walking on eggshells. But I also realized that others like things like this, so, yeah, I'm gonna leave this subject here. I will obviously have to come back to the full show at a later date to see what I think about it, given that I've heard that it's not good. But overall, Shorty McShorts is pretty bad. Would I go as far as to say that it's one of Disney's worst cartoons? I'd say not really. I mean, yes, a lot of the pilots in this series were bad, but to its credit, they didn't get a full show that we'd be stuck with for years, as opposed to some of Disney's other shows that they released. But in the future, I could see Disney doing something like this again, because unlike Ren and Stimpy or Shrek, a pilot showcase for upcoming Disney shows can work out as long as you do it properly. Specifically, if they gave the creators enough time to establish their characters and basically advertise it as a show where pilots would be shown. Because Disney have shown that they can go out of their comfort zone and succeed, specifically with shows like Gargoyles, Timon and Pumbaa, Nightmare Ned, Teacher's Pet, etc. Because when they don't do this well, we get shows like Schnookums and Me or Timo Supremo. But who knows? Given what Disney has been doing with their shows lately, a pilot showcase won't be necessary in this day and age.
Everything